Hi, this is Chris with firstcenturychristianity.net, and I saw this video today of John MacArthur, a very popular Baptist minister out in California and globally renowned minister, and he gave a lot of bad information here, a lot of just absolutely shocking information. So I just have figured out how to record video on top of video, and that's why you can't see my face. I'm sure it is possible, but I didn't feel like learning a new skill just to make one small rebuttal video. So I'll let you listen to what he has to say, and then I will offer my commentary on these shocking comments.
There's no such thing as PTSD. There's no such thing as OCD. There's no such thing as ADHD. Those are noble lies. To basically give the excuse to, in the end of the day, to medicate people. And Big Pharma is in charge of a lot of that. If you understand, take PTSD for example. What that really is grief. You are fighting a war, you lost your buddies, you have a certain amount of survival guilt because you made it back, they didn't. How do you deal with the grief? Grief is a real thing. But grief is part of life. And if you can't navigate grief, you can't live life. But if you clinically define that, you can give them a pill, a series of medications, and they end up in LA homeless on the sidewalk. This is in regard to children, it's the most deadly thing that's been unleashed on children, medication. We're trying to make clear to parents that behavior is essentially the result of choices that kids make. And if you parent them properly, they'll make right choices. But if you blame it on something other than their choices, and you identify them as having something they can't do anything about, but medicate it, you literally are turning your child into a potential, not only a potential drug addict, but maybe a potential criminal, because they never learn how to navigate life in a socially acceptable way.
So I have two branches that I want to address here. The first, probably the longest, is the mental health aspect of it. I will let you guys know that my family, going back 2 generations, 3 generations, has a history of mental issues. On my mother's side, it's about every other kid, if not all of them, in some generations. And they like to say, oh, yeah, it's because of abuse, it's because of bad stuff that happened to them, but except that it keeps happening. It keeps happening to siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles who had great lives. So I don't know how a man, let alone a minister, gets this old and doesn't understand that most of us come with our personalities right out of the womb. My 3 children are who they were going to be, and it is really weird for me to be teaching predestination to John MacArthur. But his idea that is it's called the humanistic perspective in psychology, is that your entire life is the grand sum of your experiences, and that you only react to input, and so you're formed like you don't have a Holy Spirit in you, like you don't have predestination, that you don't have a path laid out for you before you were knit together in the womb. So this is very, very intriguing for him to be saying this from theological perspective. And I am the type of person who does believe in a lot of self-determinism, and I do teach about works and how works are absolutely intertwined with salvation. It's impossible. It's impossible to separate the two as much as you try. The tail end of Revelation says the dead are judged based upon their deeds, and Messiah, Yeshua, said John 55:29 that those people who've done good attain to a resurrection of life. So I don't know how you could say their works don't matter. It's a bizarre doctrine, but he doesn't even believe it. And that's what, from a theological perspective, I've been having these arguments for now going on 25 years with people who will swear up and down that works don't matter and everything's predestined, all this Baptist hogwash. And I'm like, you don't even believe it. And they don't believe it. He doesn't believe a word of what he preaches. This sentence, this diatribe here, this nonsense that he was just saying, is saying to soldiers who've been in war to just get over it. Just get over it. You're only reacting that way because you had it bad. I mean, heaven help this man's children, let alone his congregation. And like I said, I'm the type of person who might have said things like this in my life. I've been inclined for it, but when you're in ministry, and when you're just a human being in modern times, you come across people who are just hurting all the time, and they're looking for you to fix them. They're looking for you to help them. They're looking for you to console them. They're looking for magic words. Some people even think getting baptized is going to solve their addiction problem, their sin problem, or their emotional problems, and it doesn't always work that way. Praise Yahweh when it does. But I personally, this year, maybe last year, I had a bout of depression, and I have to tell you, brothers and sisters, if you've there's a thing called being depressed. Being depressed is when you're bummed and you're down, and your dog died, or or you're missing a loved one who passed, and that's being depressed, just being the blues. Depression, I now know what it is, and it is a physical force. I had a weight on my chest that could go nowhere. There was nothing I could do to shake this at all, and it was terrible sorrow and terrible pain, and the got to the root cause of it really quick, and but now I know what that is, and people who get this and can't get rid of it are obviously going to go find a psychiatrist and do anything they can to get rid of it, and praise Yahweh that we have people who study these conditions and that we do have treatments for it. Now, the treatments are sometimes very dangerous and sometimes they're deleterious, meaning they're bad for you. But I could, I only had to do it for a couple of weeks, and now I know that that's possible, and I do not want anything to do with it. I have a family history of these things, with my aunt being committed, and my just all kinds of things in my family, and it is hereditary. And I got my DNA checked, and my DNA says I'm predisposed to addiction. It was not shocking information whatsoever if you look around at my own personal family. So I don't know. This man here is a minister of a large congregation, and if you're in that congregation, or if you believe in this man, don't believe what he's talking about here, especially the part about going to war. And people who go to war and never pull a trigger and never see anybody die and come back and cannot shake it. And we in the veteran community ponder this thing. How is it that 2 sailors or 5 sailors or 2 Marines or a platoon of Army or Coast Guard, Air Force or whatever, they all can go through the really difficult times and come out the other side with 9 out of 10 of them are just fine, and 1 of them can't function. But the people who can function don't think anything less of the guy or the gal who can't. Because we all know, by the grace of God go I, that the one who can't get over it could have easily been a one of us. And not being able to get over horrific war and battle is a sign of empathy, and a sign of caring, and a sign of having a heart. I don't even know why this man would presume to know war, being such a patriotic American. There are some things that you do just want to defer to the people who've done it, and war is on the top of uh, that list. And so, on his theology, which I was talking about a little bit ago too, I've never heard so much self determination and so much works coming out of a Baptist. And do not get in the comments on here and tell me, Chris, you just don't understand it. Yeah, I do understand it. I have had the discussions with people who think that if you're saved, that you could even commit murder and you're still going to be saved because God saves people who he saves and not who he doesn't. And it's not, it's nonsense. And the Bible doesn't teach this. And even the people who teach it do not actually believe it. Ergo, this video right here. So, with that said, I hope you guys can, who might believe what he's teaching, can come out of it. The same thing with the children. He talks about how children don't need to be medicated. Now, that's a last resort. That is a very last resort. If you are messing with somebody who's adolescent, preteen, obviously you don't want them to get on these pills that they have to be on for the rest of their lives to function. But brothers and sisters, I'm going to tell you, I've got friends, and we do in this walk have friends who refuse to use the medical system and would rather themselves die than go into a hospital, who have had to cave and get the medicines to help get their kids in line to get the kids disciplined. These problems are real. We live in a fallen world. We live where we live. We have the problems that we have, and we can't just pray them away. You have to pray, and if Yahweh lifts it from you, praise Yahweh. If he doesn't, then you have to find coping mechanisms and the counseling, and counseling is great. And these people who say they just want to medicate you, I will tell you from personal experience, the most intimate personal experiences, that it's not true. That they're not medicating kids or even adults on the first or second visit, and they send them off to counseling, and sometimes they send them to even inpatient counseling where they have to go in for 2 weeks so that they can have a time where they're safe to figure out what's wrong with them and get to the root causes. And even then, afterwards, they go to outpatient counseling, and then maybe they go on the drugs. But you can't let somebody hurt themselves. You can't let somebody who is incredibly depressed and wants to harm themselves do that. Sometimes you need that medicine in order to get the person under control, and maybe they can come off the medicine. Or maybe they don't come off the medicine and they live a nice long life. But for the love of all that which is holy, do not condemn your children or your loved ones to a life of psychotic episodes because you don't believe in the medical system. That's just an unacceptable situation to cause people incredible harm, and it may even cause people sin. This man thinks that the soldiers and the airmen and the returning veterans are on the streets because of the medicine. Well, what if they're on the streets because they didn't get the medicine? What if they're on the streets because they refused the treatment? And there's all kinds of what ifs here. But brothers and sisters, just understand that this world is messed up. And I'm not advocating for or against these medical treatments. What I'm saying is when it happens to you, you just be prepared to have an all of the above response. Because if it's you, or if it's your loved one, if it's your wife or your daughter or your father, somebody that's very close to you that all of a sudden cannot get right with the world, you need to be open to being able to bring them back so that they can get to a peaceful place and then maybe learn their way out of it, or maybe they can repent and turn to Yahweh and Yeshua and have their emotions restored that way as well. But I want to thank you for listening, and I hope that this video posts, doesn't get chopped down or anything, and I hope that you are as shocked by what that man said as I am. Have a blessed week. See you on Shabbat.